Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rick Hall.
Here.
Dr. Anita Herron. Here. Dr. Michael McDonald.
Here.
Mrs. Claire Maxwell. Superintendent William Coe.
Here.
Judge Steve Daniel.
Here.
Mayor Joe Carter.
Here. Thank you, Sandra. Mr. Vice Chair, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes of the previous meeting?
I have.
The one for which I was not in attendance?
Sorry, but everything went well. I have read them and move that they be approved.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Your commentary about it going well, was that a jab at the sitting chair?
No, not at all.
Do I need to read something there?
I just
You
thought
they just made unsolicited commentary about how well it went. I'm thinking, I'm reading between the lines here, Dr. McDonald. What am I missing, Dr. McDonald? Can you help me out?
I think we set a new record.
I know, we sure did.
Oh, did it go quick?
I don't think I made any errors.
Excellent. We don't have anybody for public comments, do we? Excellent. Lynn, open positions, item 4.
Okay, point of notice, I did have a human error on there where there is two male full-time detention officers and one female full-time detention officer. I had to put on there 2, but it should be 1. And we have one open corporal position. I went ahead and put 2 because we know that we have a young lady who's going to be changing a lateral move. So I just went ahead and put 2. And then we don't have anybody out on leave. I just have 1 FMLA pending.
Great. Any questions from Ms. Booth about open positions? Seeing none, and if there's no objection, we will accept. Data report, please.
In front of you, you have the data report for today. And there are, as you can see, 1 young person from Gibson, 2 from Montgomery, 1 from Wilson, and 4 from Rutherford.
Any questions regarding the data report? And I'll be glad to give you guys a few minutes if you need it to review. If there are no objections, we will accept it. Thank you, Lynn. Item 6, Education Services Report, please, ma'am.
There's nothing particularly of interest on this particular month. Just the usual young folks, making sure they're getting their English, math, history, and science in. We did have the President's Day holiday and another day that was closed. I believe it was for weather. So if you have any questions, I'll happily answer those.
Do they also have spring break?
Usually on the day
What does that look like,
school
right?
is closed for whatever reason, we'll do a little more programming on those days. That's what they really, that's where they get their cups filled up, is when they get to do they're learning but they don't realize it. So yeah, they're always getting something. It's just not always as structured.
Okay.
So.
Excellent. Any questions regarding the Educational Services Report? Seeing none, if there is no objection, we will accept. Number 7, our 25-26 budget. I know we're going to have some questions here.
So in front of you, you have what I have prepared to date. I have turned this in to the finance director and also to the mayor. Just of note, the first several line items are mostly salary and salary related items. All the information is generally provided to us by the finance and the mayor's office. That's why it's not added on there at this time, because we're still working on pay scale for this upcoming fiscal year. After those items is going to be what we generally have the most changes with. However, I can report that on line item 161, and so you'll find that's the first column on the left, that is our administrative support or our secretary's line item. I currently only have one administrative support 3. That is one existing position. In black, I am asking for, so it's a request.
That's where that is.
Yes, for one admin support, level 1. It would be a new position, and it may or may not happen, but we're going to ask for it. When y'all recall that when Miss Sheila Todd retired, I had taken that one, let's call it, position and moved it to detention officers. And we did it for a year, and although I don't believe that I need a administrative support 3, I do believe that some of the position or some of the responsibilities that I gave and farmed out to my upper management, my sergeants and such, because of the constant training that we do and hiring and interviewing, I do think they would benefit from not having to do as much of that. They're still going to keep some of those responsibilities, but I believe at this lower paying admin support level 1, I can, you know, they're keeping up, but it's becoming, there's absolutely no free time. So we're just getting necessary responsibilities covered. We're not having time to do anything above and beyond that. So if it happens, it's going to happen. If it doesn't, we'll continue on as we are. But that's the only brand new money that I am requesting for this year. The other line items throughout this budget that have increased have only increased because of contractual increases. So as an example, our medical services or our food service line items have increased, but to meet their contractual, whether it be the 5th year of contract or what have you, everything else is either staying the same or isn't included because of, as an example, another department picked it up. So the Office of Information Technology has assumed some of our past budget items, because once more than one, as I understand it, once more than one department within the county uses the same, in our situation would be jail management software, then it's something that OIT absorbs into their budget. So where in line item 317 for this example, I used to pay for SoftTech. That we're no longer using that jail management company because we have switched over to Jail Tracker, and the Correctional Work Center also uses Jail Tracker. So our Jail Tracker money has now moved over to the OIT budget. But as always, if you have any questions or you want me to go into more specific detail, I will be happy to do so.
A couple of comments. The 161 line item for a new admin 1, you have 38,065. That doesn't include benefits.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, thank you. So the committee can add about 30% to that total to get the total compensation package related to that position. That's an approximation, okay, 30%. Also, I would bring to the committee's attention that you'll notice a lot of zeros going down the 25-26 department request and the mayor's request. Almost all of those, if not all of them, are related to the salary schedule and the associated benefits package to the salary schedule, pension, insurance, retirement, that kind of thing, okay? The reason is Michael and I have not met with Sonia as yet on the salary survey, and we have got to meet on that before those numbers can get plugged back in. So that's why that data is missing. It's not just missing here, ladies and gentlemen, it's missing from every department spreadsheet. So we know that that information is going to have to get plugged back in. I suspect that information will be plugged in by the April board meeting for us to review, although I can't promise that. It will certainly be done before May. And if we need to call a special board meeting to review that, we can most certainly do that. But I wanted to let you know that nobody has that data yet. Hopefully they'll have it in the next couple, 3 weeks, but we're still working on it. So, having explained that, are there any questions about the proposed budget? Have you made an appointment, Lynn, with my office to go over this?
No, I sent this out Friday afternoon, I
Okay,
believe. I
that's fine.
spoke to Paula, and she said that Michael would want to look at it, and then
Yes.
the meeting would likely be initiated by he or you, and they would call and set that up. But I can call and get something set up if you would like for me to.
So what I would do is send an email to, we're doing some administrative work here, guys, forgive us, but it's convenient. Send an email to Michael saying, hey, I sent you my budget. Do you want me to schedule the meeting with the mayor and yourself, or do you want to do that? And that way we can go ahead. I want to get it on the calendar as quickly as I can, because ideally what I would like to come back is to this committee at the April meeting with salary information. So we need to have that if we can. Yes, sir. You're recognized, Mr. McDonald.
Yeah, I'd ask that, in the interest of the board, have an opportunity to kind of go through this, that we bring it back and review it again.
Absolutely, which is why I was saying, if you can review what we have
Right.
now, between now and the next board meeting, then I can hopefully have, in the next 3 weeks, the updated one that I can then send you as a supplement in anticipation of the next board meeting. That way we can at least, hopefully, you'll have reviewed it, and we can hopefully move toward adoption before we go to budget. That would be very important. So my goal is by the next board meeting, you have all the information, which is why I'm trying to get her to schedule a meeting. Well, and in our defense, a lot of these departments don't have boards that have some additional oversight. So the time frame isn't as critical as it is here. Obviously, we don't want to go to May, and we don't want to call a special meeting. So we're trying to meet our self-imposed April deadline. Yes, sir.
It's
You're
probably more
recognized,
for
Rick.
you, Mayor.
I'm sorry?
This might be more for you on this.
Okay.
Line item 340, looks like Dr. Rudd's 4-year contract. Is he contracted now with each, so workhouse, jail, juvenile detention, instead of cumulative just with the county?
He is contracted, I think I'm saying this right, Bill, he's contracted through the jail, and these are sub-recipients
That's right.
through the jail.
Gotcha.
And so that's their portion of that contract. Am I saying that right, Bill?
That's right,
Okay.
exactly.
You're recognized, Judge?
Well, in that same line item, it only shows a $5,000 increase, which I seems to be very minimal. If I'm reading this correct. No, it's no increase at all. Is that right?
No, it's a
No, it
difference
should
of
be about
5,000.
10%.
5,000, that's right.
5,000, line item 340.
Yeah, it's
Went from
204 to 209.
Yes.
That's because that line item isn't not just Dr. Rudd, it's also some
mental health.
mental health.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think,
broken out here. it looks
right, and I'm thinking the mental health would be much reduced this year just because of some population items or issues. So it's not that Rudd is necessarily a $5,000 increase. Some of that is going to be from that mental health part.
Yeah.
What happens, Lynn, that's a good question. What happens if the census is consistently lower or higher in a budget year than what is anticipated? That census goes to predicting the budget for Dr. Rudd and those ancillary mental health services, right? So how do you manage that?
So
Did that make sense?
Dr. Rudd and Summit, they specifically set up their population totals in such a way that we will never, it's usually 1 to 99. And so our food and medical is going to be consistent
So
for
the
year.
cost for 1 is the same for 99. It's when we jump over 99 that we start to get a break, and since we're never gonna have 99, that we don't have to concern ourselves with it. I got you.
And then the mental health, we have always, we have never not had enough money to cover that. However, just based on how our budget goes, that we can sort of do some internal shifting where we do have extra money if that becomes necessary.
But if our census in the detention facility is, let's say, 20, and we're paying for Summit and mental health and other Dr. Rudd for a census of 20, it's not a census of 40. So a census of 40 would be more expensive. It's on a per person basis, right?
That's correct.
So my question is, how do you then determine what that census is so you can know what to budget as a gross amount?
I generally just go back through some historical
Okay.
data. So, like, as an example, we today only have 8 young people. Now tomorrow we could have
Right.
20. It sort of works itself out.
So you have a historical data that uses the running average to predict what you can expect in the form census.
Yes.
That's exactly what I want to know. Perfect. Any other questions on the, yes, Bill, you're recognized.
Director, the 178, 708, it's in 709, I believe. Is that jail management, or is that Stanley Security, or?
Okay,
what was
so
that?
the 178,708, that is our updating of that security
From last year?
from last
Okay.
year. That PO is, they are still creating a custom software for us. That PO will probably remain open even for several months anyway. It may actually roll over into next fiscal year, and that project may not be complete as far as it being ready to use, but that money won't change. So that's why it's still there, and it hasn't been there won't be anything further in that line item for that particular project.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yes.
kind of thinking that. Just wasn't sure. It's a pretty clean budget, though. I mean, can't predict what staff is going to cost, but everything else looks to be right on.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On a couple of things. First of all, it looks like, if I'm just reviewing this, I hadn't done the actual math, but the whole budget looks like 85% of it is just cost of personnel.
That's correct.
But the one thing that I was looking at and had some question about, when you get down to line item 334, maintenance agreements, and the maintenance on the building, which you go over on 335, 336, do we really get away with that low a figure for maintenance of the building?
We are blessed in that.
Beyond blessed.
We are blessed.
I wish
in-
I were that way.
Beyond blessed.
In that our building has 4 separate departments, and
Oh.
so the maintenance department does not want to divide all of the associated costs between 4 separate departments, so they also cover it for us.
So I will come off the top rope on behalf of our maintenance department and Adam Dodd by name and Rob Shue. And Bill will tell you, they do a phenomenal job. So a lot of the maintenance of the facilities in the building is not in their respective departments, it's in the maintenance department.
I see.
They pick up that, and
Okay.
they do a phenomenal job. And I'll let Bill and Lynn talk about it, but it's just, they do a good work.
They do.
So most of what you're seeing is not here because it's in another department's budget.
Okay.
I used to, when I would go in front of the mayor and finance department and have our budget meetings. Not that it made a difference, but I did want it to be acknowledged that if for whatever reason, if they could not give the money to juvenile detention, to please give it to either the maintenance department or to the Office of Information Technology, because those two service departments give us more than they probably want to throughout the year. They are integral to keeping us running.
Good statement.
And both are just Johnny on the spot. I mean, all you gotta do is reach out to them. They do great jobs.
Any other questions? So what I think Dr. McDonald phrased his question, you didn't quite make it in the form of a motion, but the chair would accept it as a motion to defer acceptance of the budget until we receive an updated budget with salaries and ancillaries until the next appointed committee meeting. Would that be?
Works for me.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I don't think we need a roll call vote because we're not voting on the budget yet. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. And let's try to get a meeting as soon as we can with Michael, okay? That way we can, and it's got to be at some point after we get the salary data. So just FYI. So I'm thinking a couple of 3 weeks. All right. Other business. Do we have any other business, ma'am?
I do not.
Any other business before the committee?
I would just like to make a statement. I took a couple of gentlemen over and visited Captain and Director last week sometime. And Director Dick took them on a tour of the facility, and they were highly impressed with the staff and the jobs that they were doing there, because they come from adult corrections, and you don't realize that in juvenile corrections, all the hats that those staff members have to wear. I mean, they've got to be teachers, they've got to be security, they've got to be janitors, they've got to be
Transport.
so much, and they were just blown away by the jobs that, and everyone was busy the whole time we were there too. Every staff member was busy doing something.
Thank you.
You do good work. We appreciate it. Any other business before the committee? Seeing none, without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.